Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Hey, we're coming here with another great podcast. Thanks for tuning in. You guys are always such a wonderful audience for being with us. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit that bell notification button. Go to patreon.com/Chris Voss. You can go to iTunes and subscribe to us, and Google Play, the now something app. We're on every podcast app. Just download them and I'm sure you can find us on there. So I've got a wonderful guest, a friend of mine, a longtime friend, I believe, on Facebook that's been around for quite some time, John Koetsier. I believe I got his name correctly there.
Yes, you did.
He's an analyst, a forecaster, and he communicates and on communication tech trends, if you will. He's been a journalist, analyst, corporate executive. He's chronicled the rise of the mobile economy. Before joining, I guess, the companies at Tune, he built the VB Insight research team at VentureBeat and managed teams creating software for partners like Intel and Disney. In addition, he's led software development teams, built social sites and mobile apps, and consulting on social, mobile, and IoT. In 2014, he was named Folio's top 100 of the media industry's most innovative entrepreneurs and market shaker uppers. And he lives in Canada, but we won't hold that against him. Welcome to the show, John.
Thanks so much, Chris. It's a pleasure to be here. We have known each other for quite a while, and this is awesome.
Awesome. Great to have you on the show. So give us your plugs, websites, what you want to talk about today. People can go look you up and find you.
I don't do a ton of plugs, but hey,
do you have a Twitter? Do you have a Twitter account? People can follow you.
I do. I'm pretty Googleable. The problem is you have to learn how to spell my last name.
Well, give us a spell because people
can hear this in audio on iTunes. You can find me in lots of places.
Okay. So John's last name is, it's John, John. And his last name is spelled Koetsier for those of you listening on iTunes and Google Play and audio. So you can Google him and find him all over. That you got one of those great last names that you don't have to probably fight too many people for Google search.
I do not own Koetsier.com. I was an idiot, I guess, about 15 years ago, and somebody, got it. Yeah. So, hey, what the heck? But
I don't know ChrisVoss.com, and some 80-year-old guy that is too far away for me to put a hit out on. He's and he has had like the worst, lamest website up of just like his lineage of the Voss genealogy, and it's like the worst website. I think they updated it a little bit, but for like 10 years, it was just the most god-awful GeoCities looking thing. And people when I started consulting and stuff, they come to me and they'd be like, hey, Chris, this has been bugging us for a long time. And, we got to talk, for some guy who's like really successful in social media, your website really sucks. I'm like, that's not my website, you ass. And I've written him and offered to buy it, and he won't sell it. He's like, I'm going to do something with it next year, and he never does. And this has been going on for I think 17 years now.
Well, you said he's 80, so maybe he won't last that much longer, and you'll get it.
Something, man. And then I used to dominate the web for a long time, and then this FBI agent came out of the woodwork, who's an ex-FBI agent. And he was fighting me for a while, and then he went back to using his name, Christopher, and then he wrote a book. And so now he's taken over my Google SEO. But here's the funny part. All of his followers off of his book are following me because they think I'm him. So it's totally like backfired. Yeah. I don't know if it's because I started doing a lot of different stuff more with Twitter about a year and a half ago when his book came out. And so I don't know if it's because I started covering politics or because of him, but I picked up like 90,000 followers. And still to this day, about almost daily, I get messages from people on LinkedIn and Twitter, and they go, hey, I love your book. And I go, hey, man, that's not me. You got the wrong boss. But hey, I really appreciate you. And by the way, I'm a rock star and I've got more followers still than him. But he has done so much more for me. I want to write him and just go, you really should have stuck with the Christopher Voss when you were losing, because
that's awesome.
It's all coming to me. because
That's awesome. I have no competition for johnkoetsier.com. And so that's, I guess, a wonderful thing. But I also don't have 90,000 Twitter followers coming out of the cloud and just raining down on me like, gift from the gods. So maybe I'll hope and pray for a John Koetsier to arise that's a massive star, football star or something.
Yeah. So this guy's probably going to write more books. And I'm kind of on the fence about, now I got to write a book for sure now. And I've been always trying to do one. But if I write a book, I'm basically going to be using his street cred for books. People are like, oh, Chris Voss wrote a second book. I'll buy that one too.
Dude, you could probably sell 100,000 copies just on that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
By the way, Chris Voss is a New York Times bestselling author.
Yeah. And then I'll just fucking, and guess what? All the traffic will come to me again. I really got to write him and say, dude, you got to change. I even thought about bringing him on the show, but I'm not sure what that'll do the SEO on Google. But I'm kind of,
I don't know, but I think I'm sticking your name on my next book. We'll see what I can cash in.
I'm too lazy to write one, and maybe we should. I'm working really hard this year, though. I'm getting I adopted a CRM. And still trying to find the best one that works for me, but it looks like HubSpot's working for me pretty good. And I'm trying to get organized, keep track of my stuff. Nice. A lot of things have changed for me. It used to be, back in the early part of this decade, I guess. Wow, you can actually say that now because it's 2018, the early part of this decade.
Yes.
Oh my God, shoot me now. You could, just everything came to me. Like I didn't have to ask people for products; they just showed up. Now I have to go out and hey, send us some stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, okay. And I don't think it has anything to do with my influence. It's just like nobody's doing their job anymore.
Could be.
I used to work with a lot of great PR agents and PR agencies, and I still do. There's still a few out there, but it seems like more and more they've just overcome with these chewing gum millennials who are just like, oh, I have to do my job.
Well, you should see they're working hard on their emails. I must have about 3,000 emails for CES already. So I'm feeling like back when I was a full-time journalist and I'd have 20,000 emails in my inbox. I'd take a screenshot on my phone and I'd post it for something else. And somebody says, you've got 20,000 emails in your inbox. What kind of loser are you? It's like, so they're doing something like that. But if you're lazy and you want to write a book, you have the perfect opportunity, right? Crowdsource the book. That's what I'm doing. So I'm doing this book. It's called Insights from the Future. And coincidentally, my Inc. column is the same name. So you can imagine that. And I write a chapter, and then I post it to Facebook, and I post it to LinkedIn, and I say, hey, give me your critique. What do you think? What do you like? What would you add? What would you do different? Am I an idiot? That's always a popular option. And so I get a bit of feedback and critique, and I can add those insights in. Boom, there's a chapter.
That's what my friend. That's what my friend Shell and Robert Scoble do. They build a private Facebook group of some of their biggest fans, and they crowdsource most of the book. They don't release most of it, but they'll release chapters. Yep. They've even given titles and rewritten titles based upon. I help them with
that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Group, cool. Yeah. Yep. I remember one time I wrote to Shell and I said, I really hate that new title. And man, he was not happy that I said that, but I was trying to be honest. I mean, I was like, I thought you wanted feedback, man.
For most people who want feedback, they don't want feedback. They want praise.
I guess. I mean, Shell's a good guy. He is. I mean, he's really hard his book. He's a great writer and I have a lot of respect for him. But yeah, I think he was just locked into it at that point by the time I came along and said that, and, like, we already have it in print, you asshole.
Yep. And you know how big title is for anything. I mean, you can have the same post, the same book and different title, and one takes off like crazy, one dies. It's just magic pixie dust of the internet.
Yeah. So you're writing for Inc. now, or you have been, I guess.
Yeah. I do most of my writing for Forbes. which I enjoy because Forbes is, look, let's be honest, okay? Forbes is real news. Inc. is one thing that Elon Musk just said that will change your life. You know, I mean, like every other article on Inc. is pretty much that. You know, find a celebrity, find an all-star, find an internet god, influencer, hang some kind of semblance of an article on one tweet or one phrase that they said, and boom, you know, it's amazing the traffic you can get. But I do like Inc. for some things.
How you can get rich in business by posting sex tapes by the Kardashians.
First key is to get them.
I published a sex tape one time, and I was hoping to get famous, you know, like Paris Hilton and the Kardashians. And it was really weird. The first day after I published the sex tape, I kept getting the news people pinging me back from the PR outreach. They were just like, when you publish a sex tape, there's supposed to be two people in it. So that's where I went wrong.
So it was a Louis C.K. tape, was it?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Without anybody in the room watching. That Louis C.K. thing, you know, I'm a big fan of comedy and writing comedy well and everything else, but that is kind of some creeper shit. I mean, you know, if you're going to ask, I mean, the poor girls, I feel really sorry for the girls, not only for what they had to witness and how they felt victimized, but, you know, they probably did go back to the room with him, hoping that they could have like a groupie situation and, you know, like,
or a conversation,
maybe, get some action. Hey, I slept with Louis C.K. And instead it turns into a one-man show.
I cannot fathom what that's about. I cannot fathom. I don't get that.
I just wrote that joke right off the fucking
yes, you
way.
Did.
Louis C.K. one-man show.
Oh, shoot.
Louis C.K. performing in a one-man show near you, like across the room. And we're certainly not making light of the situation.
No.
I mean, he certainly did abuse his power.
100%.
And not only did he abuse his power, he abused his monkey. So there's that.
Well, but he massacred his career. I mean, he really did.
And at the launch of his film that he spent his own money to make, so that was horrible. But yeah, the thing I just don't get about it is if I had one or two beautiful girls who, you know, really like me and want to go back to my room, and you know, they agreed to go back to my room, they're probably kind of interested in seeing if there's any romantic sort of stuff going on there. And for you just to go, yeah, fuck that, let's do the one-man show.
Honestly, I think that many of them thought there were conversations that were going to be going on. They were going to chat about stuff. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. On the other hand, yeah, not too familiar with that. So, hey.
Yeah, I mean, I've had girls at parties and stuff, hey, let's go up to the room and talk, and you're like, I know where this goes. But to be like, you sit over there and I'm just going to have fun and you get to watch. That's kind of
very strange. Very strange.
That's not very good sharing. That's all I got to say. That's not sharing. That's kind of like you having an orgasm and she doesn't, and you get up and just go, okay, we're done here. I'll see you later. Which is pretty much, I think, what most every teenage girl experienced. Anyway, let's get back to business and quit jerking off.
Yes.
Quit Louis C.K.ing. So Forbes, yeah. I mean, it's good to know you're in Forbes. I think somebody's asking me if I knew anybody who's writing for Forbes, and I spaced it. I used to have John Nosta and my other good friend who put me on the Forbes top 50 the 2 years that he did it.
Nice.
I forget his name. He's in Ireland. A great guy. We've had him on the podcast. It's really funny. You should consider doing this. My friend did the Forbes top 50 list, the top social media influencers.
Yeah.
And he was with Forbes, and I think he did it in 2012 and 2013, and I ranked, I think, 18 and then 25. And nice. I was really happy with the list because they actually brought in a company. You know, these lists that they do are, here's the top 100 social media people that I like to gaggle with. They actually did a study based upon my audience. They didn't pick up stuff like LinkedIn, but they pretty much did my Twitter, and they had a measurement research company come in and actually freaking measure stuff. And whenever I get those, I rank really well. If I rank on just a favorite, you know, list, then I don't rank well, because, you know,
most of those lists, you're absolutely right. They're just, you know what, I want to put a lot of link bait out there. I want to be retweeted or liked or shared by these people I'm putting on my list. So there we go, put them all on there. But if they do the science, if they check out who's actually getting engagement, that's an interesting scenario.
Yeah, and he was able to get, let me see if I can pull up his name. So I can credit him for this, but he was able. It went huge. It just went totally viral in 2012 and 2013, and so I was on it for 2 years, and then he left Forbes, so he didn't do it again. So I'll have people say to me, "Oh, so you're on Forbes top 50 list for 2012, 2013. What happened after that, big guy?" And you're just like, "Well, fuck, you left Forbes and quit doing it." So maybe you should take up that mantle, because he killed with it, and it was so huge. He went and did it again, and then I think John Nosta was writing for Forbes, my good friend. We did a couple bits in his thing about medical stuff, and I really should have used it to go start a medical startup for keeping people from having to go into waiting rooms.
Nice.
But I've been on a lot of other great lists. Even last year, I was on some really super lists that I was really proud of, and they did the research. It wasn't this is my favorite people list. But I'm trying to find who did that list.
John Nosta, though, is a really interesting guy, and he actually contributed to my latest article, which I basically predicted that 75% of surgeons would be out of work by 2039. As we roboticize, as we automate the entire medical industry. And so he actually commented and helped me out with my post on that. He's, for people who don't know John Nosta, he's a Google fellow. He's on the board of Google, a Google Health board. He's got a startup. He's a VC. I think he's the #1 influencer on digital health on LinkedIn or Twitter. So he's pretty smart dude.
Yeah, he's a really smart dude. He's really always been great at health. It was Hayden Shaughnessy who was with Forbes, and he did it, and it just exploded the first year he did it. And then so he did it a second year, and he brought in this company. I'd have to look up the article to see who the company was, but they brought in a company to do the tracking and measuring. Mm-hmm. And I always do really well. I think it used to be Radeon back in the day. It was one that AT&T used to use to figure out who was the rock stars and who wasn't. But so he did that for 2 years, and then he quit Forbes and went off to write books. And I think we interviewed him for his recent book last year. But it's kind of funny because he left all of us hanging. Like people are still like, how come you didn't make the Forbes list in 2015 and 16 and 17? It's like, well, he's gone. Forbes isn't doing it anymore.
Yep.
So, John, how much do I got to pay you to pick up that mantle, buddy?
It's a little outside my swim lane for Forbes. I'm more.
Damn Canadians.
Exactly. What can I say?
So, what else? Where are you working now, other than those things? There was Tune you had in your bio. What is
Tune is an interesting company. You've never heard of it, but it's in the device you hold in your hand every day. And I'm not talking about that device, Chris.
It's on every radio island. Isn't it the right dial? The right dial on every radio? Tune. I've been seeing it either. In radio. Been around for a long time.
It's an interesting company. It helps basically big brands get customers. So I do a lot of consulting with them. Starbucks is a customer. Twitter is a customer. There's a lot of companies I can't name that are customers, but they're household. Yeah, I can't name that company.
I can taste the John.
Product placement. But anyways, their tech is in about 4 billion devices globally, thanks to their customers. which enables me, because I act as their they call it mobile economist, enables me to see a heck of a lot of data of what people are doing globally, what they're focusing on, what they're working on, what they're using their devices for, and where it's going. It's not just handheld devices. It's also like an Apple TV or other wearables and that sort of thing as well. Our SDK can be in there also. So you can really see interesting stuff. What's that?
The FBI and the NSA also has that too.
Well, they might have slightly different access with slightly different privileges.
They're watching us through our cameras right now.
Exactly. I'm out of the country, so I'm a little bit safe, but I guess the NSA can only operate outside of the United States, so maybe I'm at risk.
I'm sure I'm being watched, and I've flipped you since I'm a subversive liberal.
Could be, but you're a known quantity. You're in Vegas and get you anytime, so a little bit safe that way.
That's true. They just figure out Vegas, they're like the radiation fallout from their nuclear testing.
Yep.
The
other thing,
neon light disease.
Exactly. The other thing I'm working on, and everybody in tech is doing their startup, right? So I'm doing a startup in the blockchain and augmented reality space.
Everyone's doing a blockchain startup these days.
I know. What the heck? So, anyways,
blockchain.
What's that?
It's like people are blockchaining their blockchain. So,
actually, literally true.
Yeah, like
literally true.
Like Bitcoin is blockchain through Ethereum, and it's blockchain through XML Ripple. That's blockchain through Litecoin, and you're just
don't forget the crypto kitties.
Yeah, like Coinbase sends me, the emails on what they're supporting now this week. And I'm just like, I can't keep up with this shit anymore, man. Just it was easy when it was just Bitcoin.
Exactly. But the core challenge, we're talking cryptocurrency now, which is a little different topic, but the core challenge is you can't have one freaking wallet for all of your cryptocurrencies. You're basically, I've got like 5 or 7 10 different wallets for all these freaking cryptocurrencies, and it's a disaster. This can't really go.
Just send those wallets to me. I'll take that off your hands and save
it. Sure. Exactly.
I need to start doing that on a podcast. I need to say saying, if you want to send money to the Chris Voss Show, Bitcoin, Litecoin, or my friend Michael Arrington, who used to run TechCrunch, he just I guess technically made a huge investment in Ripple. Is it called XML Ripple or
XRP?
XRP. I don't know what to call it. It's like, is it Ripple? Is it XRP?
I don't know. There's many of them too.
Fucking name. It's just shit. But anyway, he started a $100 million fund in it, put in a bunch of his money from TechCrunch, and he's super fucking smart.
Yes, he is.
Fucking whipping smart. So I was like, I should probably invest in Ripple because Mike usually knows what he's doing. And although he did sell to AOL, so
hey, any money is good money, right?
Anyway, fucky money is good fucky money. I don't know. I guess a lot of grandmas read TechCrunch. What do I know? But I don't know what that means. So anyway, so I should have bought into it when I saw him launching the fund, and I guess now it's at least doubled or tripled or gone.
I think it 10x, frankly, in the last, I don't know if it was a month or whatever it was, but it went exactly. But here's the deal. We always think that when we hear about something that totally went off the charts and everything like that, but we also hear about many others that we don't hear about later because they tanked or they went down. So, sure, we're missing out on stuff. Yes, we didn't, invest in Bitcoin when it was a freaking penny, or something like that. You remember that guy who spent 2,000 Bitcoin for a pizza or a couple pizzas, right? That's several $100,000 now, right?
Oh, dude, I'm kicking myself. My friend Annie said one of his friends in Silicon Valley invested $2,500 in Bitcoin. I think it was Bitcoin. It was one of the cryptocurrencies, but $2,500 in March, and it's worth $1.2 million now.
You know what? I would take that out, take those winnings, and then when you see Bitcoin crater, then put half of it back in, and then you at least consolidated some of your earnings there, right?
Yeah.
It's
I'm
worthwhile.
pissed off because I owned a Bitcoin last year. Well, it was stuck at 600, and I bought it after it dumped from like 1,200 or 1,000. I think it peaked out at, and it dumped back down. So I'm like, okay, well, I kind of know the range of what this is. So I put it in there, and it sat forever at 600. And I just finally said, fuck it. I need the money. My dog was going through hospice care, and I needed the money. And so I spent it, and now I'm just like, load a fucking gun, put it on my face.
I know. 20 grand for Bitcoin. It's unbelievable. That said, it's really hard to sell Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah. At 600, that thing would have been worth, well, I guess, I don't know what it is now. I know it dropped really far. So
yeah, we'd have to check what it is right now, but I mean, it's, whatever, 17, 18, 20, 16, it's a lot more than 600.
And one of my friends back in the day, when it had gone to about 1,000 or 600, he was trying to get his 2 to 3 million out that his Bitcoin had appreciated out of Mount Gox.
Are you kidding me?
And they quit paying out money, and then they went down. And so he was part of the Mount Gox lawsuit. I think it was in Texas. They were prosecuting. I don't even know what happened to it, but basically the money's gone.
All the money was gone. Yeah. I mean, at the time,
he lost 2 or 3 million. So that Bitcoin he had would probably be worth like, I don't know, 200 million now or some shit.
Can you imagine being that guy? I mean, at the time, the Mt. Gox meltdown, it was valued at about $285 million. It went up in smoke, right? Up in smoke. And can you imagine being that guy? You could have had $200 or $300 million. I mean, that's not just life changing. That's like you can change the world, literally, with that kind of money. But that probably went to North Korea. I mean, we've seen evidence that North Korea is actively engaging in hacking exchanges. And that money probably went to.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on. Wasn't there a China exchange or Japanese exchange recently that shut down and filed bankruptcy?
There was another one, yeah.
They got hacked twice.
Yeah.
So,
and sometimes the question is, did they get hacked? Sometimes the question is, did they get hacked, right? Or did the founders?
I mean, the Mt. Gox thing, there was a lot of speculation and I guess rumors that they have been running a Ponzi scheme. And at one point, I guess they'd been accused of what's it called? Where you flood the currency, where you corner the market.
Pump and dump,
yeah, sort of things. And they basically were, they were running a Ponzi scheme, especially as some of the Bitcoin had been stolen. They were probably pulling a Ponzi scheme to do the thing. But it's definitely changing, I guess. I mean, I've stuck with Coinbase through it. I don't even know if I should. I don't even know what the right fucking exchange is anymore. And then this new thing where everyone's a fucking Bitcoin expert now and an investment fucking advisor, which is the scariest thing fucking ever. Like, I mean, it's one thing if I'm telling you how to build your Twitter account and everybody and their dog's now a social media expert. Jesus Christ. People are fucking with people's investments and their college funds now and their retirement savings and, very dangerous. Every snake oil social media expert I know is like started a Bitcoin expert podcast and everything, and you're just like, really?
I mean, and what I think we're seeing with all the cryptos, we're fueling a market where there's a lot of people who have a ton of paper wealth, right? Or cryptographical wealth. And we've seen some of that put to use in some of the ICO market that we've seen, right? We've seen that really get oversubscribed and stupid ICOs come out. But I think that the ICO market is probably going to get interesting again in 2018, about middle of 2018 or so. And I anticipate doing an ICO as well. In that time frame, but I anticipate doing it when we have a real company with doing real things with real value.
Yeah, then everyone's doing these ICOs and they're just making up their own coin. And then one of my friends recently, I guess one of the coins, Ethereum, you can make your own custom coin inside of their coin.
Yep.
And it's just
your token. Yep.
Just like, oh my God. So now I got to go do the Chris Voss token, I guess, or some shit.
You should actually do the Chris Voss token, and then you could have, several billion of them, and you could give away, hundreds of thousands of them to people who might be interested. And people can feel really, really excited because they own a little piece of the Chris Voss token.
You want to own a piece of Chris Voss? That sounds like something that C.K. Lewis would share. Going back to that joke. I'll mail people a piece of Chris Voss, but it's going to be something that normally you'd find in the smallest room of my home in the mornings after a good coffee. That's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite lines. I think it was like in the 1600s or 1200s or something. A critic wrote a really bad review of a guy's symphony or something in a paper or note or something, and the guy wrote back and he said, I'm sitting in the smallest room of my home. Your review is in front of me. Soon it will be behind me. I thought that was the most wonderfully crafted insult ever.
I would not like to eat something like that, however. So.
Yeah, but there are websites for that, I hear, and fetishes. That's got me. I'm almost at a dry heave on that one. Sometimes I go too far for the jokes on the show.
Yeah.
I go too far, and that was one of them. So anyway, so you love Bitcoin. You got 7 wallets. What do you think is going to be? Certainly, I should have invested in Litecoin and Ethereum when it came out because I knew the principle from being trained as a stockbroker and being a day trader, that the principle of investing in smaller, it's like penny stocks, investing in the smaller stocks, that if the whole industry is going to boom, you want to put your money in the smaller so you can control more, so that when the valuations go up, you earn more money than, buying in, like right now, if you buy Apple stock, isn't Apple stock like still super expensive? I don't think they've ever split.
Very. Yep.
Yeah. Or Berkshire Hathaway stock. Buying 1 share Berkshire Hathaway stock as opposed to 100 shares of Home Depot or whatever, the equation is. If they tend to, if all tides rise all boats, then and it goes up, which technically the stock market does, you're going to certainly earn a whole lot more money off that than anything. I got my mama 3 or 4 times return putting in her AOL back in the day when it was splitting every 6 months. It was crazy.
No way.
Yeah, we put in I think 30,000, moved her 120,000, just keeping her AOL. And meanwhile, I was pissing all my money away up and down in .coms. Like Earthlink, you make $50,000 in 20 minutes and then lose $30,000 the next 20. But you can always wake. It was a crazy time of the .com era because you could always wake up, and at 7:30, I was in Utah at the time when the market would open. I think it was 7:30. The market would open, and just whatever new .com was launching would just go through the roof. And the hardest thing was just to get your order in. I think I had NASDAQ level 2 access. Yeah. But yeah, I should have invested in some of the smaller ones. What do you think is going to pop? What do you think is going to be huge? Do you like Ripple, or do you like what's bonering you up other than Bitcoin?
I like Ethereum because I see it as the basis for a lot of things that are going to be built in the future. I think it's a platform. It's not just a currency, and there's an actual use for it. So I like currencies that have an actual use. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest about Bitcoin. It doesn't really have an actual use right now. So, I'm going to get flames for that. I get it 100%, but it's not a coin that you can typically use right now for payments because transactions take a long time. Value is very volatile, and transactions are very expensive, right? There's some cheaper ways to do it, but transactions can easily be $20, $30 US to do a transaction. Well, you can't buy the pizza when the transaction cost is more than the pizza, right? So for bigger things, sure, okay, fine. But basically, Bitcoin is a store of value. Okay, and for cryptocurrency, probably a pretty decent place to put it if you buy it on a dip, right? Always buy it on a dip. But I like Ethereum for the long term. And then if I'm looking at ICOs, I look for an ICO where the token or the currency actually has a use. It isn't just something that exists because somebody wants to raise some money. but it's something that exists in the context of an ecosystem where value is created and value is exchanged. If it's in an ecosystem where value is created and exchanged, and that ecosystem gets traction, then I think there's an opportunity for that coin or token to appreciate in value. Again, it's just opportunity. You should only play with money you can afford to lose, but hey, why not?
Yeah, and that was what was interesting about Ethereum. I'd read years ago on how it was going to be used for business, and then when XRP Ripple, Michael Arrington invested in that. I looked up that and understanding how it can really help bank transfers and international wire transfers. I'd seen somebody talking about what a massive nightmarish bureaucratic thing it is on transferring money between banks right now. And if you want to, like, I'm completely frustrated how somebody can send me, somebody can pay me immediately through PayPal. But if I want to move money from my PayPal to a bank, or from this bank to that bank, or this bank to that credit card for payment, it takes so long to transfer that money. It's just stupid. And it's 2018. And I'm like, how is it that one way this works just fine and the other? And evidently, I guess the oversight committees or boards or whoever controls this whole crap, they're just a government sort of bureaucratic nightmarish hell that has nothing better to do but sit around and play with their navels and make stuff up to give themselves jobs every day.
I think that's in their actual job description.
Probably, yeah. That's mine, but I put it there. I think Louis C.K. has something along the same things.
He could.
Keep coming back to that joke.
But here's the good part. Here's the good part. The good part is that those people are getting competition right now. Those people are getting competition, and that means that the banking system knows, hey, if we don't want to be irrelevant, if we want to matter, we have to build structures and processes that enable people to transfer money reliably, quickly, and cheaply across the entire planet. So, for instance, if I want to get a wire transfer from an American client, they can pay $14 for the privilege. I can pay $14 for the privilege, and there's basically $30 US to transfer a couple grand around, right? Not cool. Not cool. What's the point? You're moving numbers. There's no physical currency going. It's already a digital currency, largely, that we are using, right? We're going to see national cryptocurrencies. You're going to see the crypto ruble. Venezuela, which needs it desperately because they have overinflation, is going to do something here. The petrodollar, they've been talking about. The U.S. will eventually do something, but that'll be interesting for the U.S. because the U.S. has outsourced its recession over the past decade or more by virtue of the fact that it's the reserve currency of the world. That's wonderful. That's amazing, because you can do the trillions of dollars of quantitative easing, in other words, increasing the monetary supply that you've done, and not really pay for it like Venezuela has paid for it by having your country go to crap. Right? Because the world is being flooded, and okay, we'll accept US dollars. We still kind of trust the United States, but those days are over. Those days are over. Already the Fed is in quantitative, they're pulling back. They're taking some, I think, $800 or $900 billion out of the economy every year now. That's their plan, right? So, there's going to be something there. We're going to have a cryptocurrency for each nation, perhaps for the world. There's going to be interesting things and huge problems as well. Great opportunities for hackers.
Great opportunities for hackers. They seem to be making the best of Bitcoin and these cryptocurrencies. Really Wild West. I mean, maybe in the future you're going to have 10, 20 different wallets of whatever the most popular currencies are, so you can trade in them. Or maybe they're going to have to come up with, I guess exchanges like Coinbase, where, I pay you in Ethereum and they convert it to Bitcoin for you because you want Bitcoin and I want Ethereum and blah, blah, blah. The Ripple thing's so interesting to me in helping banks transfer money, because I think that's one place that really needs to be disrupted, because it's just so insane. Like if I want to move money between banks and I'm too lazy to go to the ATM, and of course they pop you on the ATM fees as well.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and then I can only move, a certain amount of money with my ATM card, depending upon the bank. Like, I think Wells Fargo, like I can only pull out 300 at a time. At Bank of America lets me pull out 1,500, and then this bank does that, and PayPal lets me do something else. And you're just like, who fucking wrote these rules, man? I had to call Wells Fargo one time. I'm like, hey, I need my, Bank of America lets me take $1,500 out at a time. I need my thing raised. They're like, fuck you. And I'm just like, okay, well.
Is that word for word?
Yeah, pretty much. And they just said, we're busy opening fake accounts in your name, so we can't get to that right now.
Exactly. I talked to Tim Draper. You know Tim Draper, right? He's Draper Fisher Jurvetson, one of maybe the best known venture capital firm in Silicon Valley. I met him at Web Summit in Lisbon a few months ago, and wrote for Forbes about it. And he said in 5 years, if you're not using some kind of cryptocurrency to pay for things, people will laugh at you. You'll remember he was the one. You remember when Silk Road went down? Silk Road was the black market, buy guns, buy drugs, buy whatever, and pay in Bitcoin. Yeah. 3-4 years ago, when they got shut down by the Fed, by the FBI confiscated their Bitcoin, and he's the guy who bought it all. And I think he paid something like I think he paid something like maybe $15 to $18 million for it, and it's now worth somewhere on the order of $300 or $400 million.
God damn! I saw that. Who's that gay guy? Who's the VC who loved Trump? Peter Thiel. Evidently, he bought a lot of it and has cleaned up pretty good.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Now we find out about it now, but he bought a lot of it 6 to 9 months ago. Yeah. The rich get richer.
Rich get richer, poor get poorer. There you go. Meanwhile, they've raised taxes. I wonder if they, I don't know, man. It's the Wild West when it comes to crypto.
What, it's not a tax cut?
Huh? I'm still waiting for my check to come in the mail. I'll hold my breath until I turn blue, I suppose.
Yep.
Somehow I'll end up like David Carradine or Robin Williams, I think, if I do hold my breath for that. That was a horrible joke. So anyway, I'll let you guys put that one together. Till you turn blue, I think was the key part of that joke. That's so did I just do a joke that a YouTuber did?
I don't know. I didn't hear all of it.
I didn't film it and put it on tape. So there's that. I don't know what is with these millennials. Well, I guess we won't get into millennials, but the recent YouTube guy who got in trouble for filming a suicide forest, and then laughing about it, I guess, on tape. I didn't ever see the tape, fortunately, but still, that's pretty horrific for if you know people that suffer from suicide. But these millennials, they're taking like selfies and smiling at dead bodies at funerals and crap, posting on Instagram.
We've created an attention economy. And we've said that your value is how much people pay attention to you. And then we're shocked when the Kardashians happen. We're shocked when is it Paul George, or I forget what his name was, the YouTuber dude. We're shocked, that's it's not cool. It's not right. I don't like it. But we've created a marketplace in which it is inevitable.
We're shocked when some idiot wins the presidency.
Yeah, precisely.
And we have reality TV suddenly in the White House, and all of the world's looking at us going, what the fuck are you guys drinking this week? Thank God we at least have the I don't know, century-old reputation of the asshole American. Like, people who just, like the French are like, yeah, that's fucking Americans. Yeah, that's part of the course right there. Like, you guys in Canada are just like, stupid drunken brother of ours in the South is fucking gone off the rails in his mobile home again. What the fuck is going on?
I mean, here's the reality. People know that Americans and America are two different things, right? And America and Trump are two very different things also, right?
I hope so.
This recent book, I mean, I just hope that if we can do anything in the next few years, if we can get rid of this sort of fact-resistant mentality that we have, that has generated this, anything I don't like is called fake news type of mentality. That's really critical. That's really critical. Of course, to do that, we'd have to invest in the education system. I'm not sure we're doing that.
I did post an article on Facebook the other day that there's education state boards around the states that have said we need to teach literacy in reporting and newspaper reading, and we need to get back to literacy and helping people be able to read, make evaluations, and understand their news now more than ever, because it's so important to take a personal responsibility for what you're doing. Now, I mean, there's some people that they want that fantasy 1950s world back so bad because they felt they've lost power, and they've stuck in some shithole city that, you know, Pittsburgh and U.S. Steel closed business in 1980. You know, hey, I knew the steel industry was going to die when they removed U.S. Steel from the Dow Jones. That was probably a sign there, you know. And I used to live in a shithole, you know, 2 streetlight town. I grew up in one. After half of my life was growing up in Southern California. There was moving to American Fork, Utah, which was basically an experience out of ironically out of the same movie that was filmed there, Flashdance. Where as a kid you move from a great city of Beverly Hills to freaking backwater 2 streetlight town, shit kicker world. You know, I had to go back there for Christmas, so I guess that's why I'm still scarred from this. And it's still I think it picked up an extra 2 lights. No, it's got more than that now, but it's still a shit backwoods fucking town, and I'm putting that nicely. So you know, I know what it's like to grow up in these cities, and I said, I'm moving the fuck out because this place is going nowhere, and it still has, and it's been, what am I? I'm 50 this month at the end of the month. Wow. And I lived there when I was in my teens. So that's 35 years, you know. Wow. Hey, sometimes you got to fucking leave these dead cities and move to a new place. I'm sorry, man.
Well,
you just
and the thing that makes sense about what you're saying is, you know, for instance, Trump was all about, we're going to save the coal industry. And as everybody who can read knows, there's, what is it, 10x more people employed in solar and other renewable industries than in coal. Which doesn't mean we don't care about coal miners, but, you know, if we want to generate more jobs, if we want to keep people healthy, let's invest in the future.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just so amazing to me when you hear him go, we're bringing coal back. And you're like, oh, people are really excited for black lung. Is that like really a thing? But it pays really well because no one wants to do it. And that's it's kind of like the drug. It's like, no one wants to pay for cocaine, but it feels really fucking good when you take it. So, but there's kind of, you know, in the end, it might get you. That's all I'm saying. So it's interesting, the dynamics of what we're doing between. Let's tie all this together between cryptocurrency and the volatility in our nations and our politics. I mean, certainly, is Venezuela the country where they have that new madman running it and everything's going to hell, or is that the Philippines?
No, they had a madman running it, and everything did go to hell, and now they're trying to fix it. But yeah, they have hyperinflation right now. So I mean, you know, you go to the store to buy bread. You brought $100 to buy bread, but by the time you get from the ATM to the store, the bread is now $150. So you know.
I just started eating at that point. I'm just like, I'm gonna have cannibal steaks from here on out. And that's just the way we're going. We're going Donner Party Pass all the way. Because there's a lot of people here and there's not enough money. So it's time for some good A1 Heinz 57 sauce and darker white meat.
Shoot. Dude, really?
I'm really in a macabre sort of mood here, aren't it, today? Politics.
What's that movie again? They made that food, this superfood from Silicon Valley. What's it called? You know,
Green.
Yeah.
It's a Charlton Heston movie. It's always so great.
Come on, how can we not remember this? But you know,
I always forget what it's called because it's because but there's that famous Charlton Heston saying, "Green, whatever is people, it's people." But I quit using that. That line. Soylent Green, yeah. I quit using that line because like millennials are just looking and go, "What is that? And who's Charlton Heston?" Like,
exactly. Nobody gets that.
You guys should have been aborted. Really. The whole fucking generation. No, I'm just kidding. They're nice people.
Sure.
They're finally getting around to buying homes, I hear. So that's good. Now if we can just get them having sex, evidently, so they can pay for our Social Security, that's the next thing.
I don't know.
They're busy looking at their phones. Like even my nephew.
Have a picture. Talking about looking at your phones, I have a picture. It's still on my desktop here. I took it as a freaking screenshot, and it is of, frankly, Vegas. When I forget what his name is, that dude who shot hundreds of people from his hotel room, right? And so these cops, there's like 4 cops. I'm looking at the picture right now. There's 4 cops in the picture. They're literally hiding behind their cop car. They have their weapons at the ready, literally hiding behind. One guy's laying on the ground. The other's kneeling by the front. The others are behind the high part. And here's a dude less than 15 feet away, standing out in the open, looking down like this at his phone.
At his phone.
The cops are hiding because they're afraid that somebody's shooting at them. What's that?
I'm waiting for news to tell me that they're shooting at me. The cops are like, "Get down, you idiot!" He's like, "I'm Googling to see if there's a shooting going on right now."
Jenny just liked my photo. My latest selfie is up to 100 likes.
My friend died beside me. I'm taking a selfie with it. And I saw some of that in the shooting. There were people wandering around, and unfortunately, Vegas, there's a thing here where we like to get drunk and walk around with beers because it's legal. And it's Vegas. So there's a lot of people I saw walking around going, "I don't care if they shoot." Like somebody posted somewhere on Facebook, they're like, "Look at this guy. He's balls out. He's still walking around even they're shooting. That's Vegas strong." And you're like, dude, he has a beer in his hand. It looks like he just came out of his trailer. I'm pretty sure he's so lit, he doesn't know what the fuck is going on.
It's possible.
I don't know that's bravado. I don't know that's real bravado there. You might want to check your thing. It's Vegas. If it was any place else, if it was like Texas, I'd be like, okay, that's probably bravado. The guy's like, "I don't give a shit who shoots at me. This is the Alamo." But no, if it's Vegas, you're either high or drunk. And if you're standing around people shooting you, and what a horrible tragedy that was, of course, for people. Yeah. And I wish we could, it's such a robbery when those people get away by killing themselves. I wish we could just all go take turns whacking his corpse with a baseball bat. I wish we didn't have to be so high-minded about stuff like that. Like we could. There's something to say about how Muslims take somebody out and stone them, or like they hang their corpse in like what did they do with Mussolini? They hung his corpse and they hung him and his wife.
Hang Mussolini's corpse, and you just lost another group of millennials. Who's Mussolini? But they did it in public. And then they took turns shooting at it and hitting it with shoes.
But didn't everybody get to go up and whack him with a stick or something, like a piñata? Like that's what we need. We need something that, like I was reading that ISIS hates it when one of their people get captured. When they kill themselves, that's cool. But when they get captured and they got to go rot in prison for like 20 years, ISIS doesn't promote that because it's bad, because no one wants to get caught and stuck in prison for 20 years. And so I'm like, why don't we promote that? Like, why don't we make a bigger deal about, hey, we caught this mofo and he's going to rot in jail for 20 years and going to get ass beaten and raped. And I'll pay. Like, I remember one time, what was it? Some guy beat up Jared, the Subway guy. And
Jared Fogle.
And I was like, hey, I'm sending money to whoever beat that guy up and funding his prison cafeteria thing. I know you shouldn't adhere to violence, but there's some people that need some payback. That's just it. So
I don't know. I don't know what the right way is, but
somehow we got to stop. Like, I like how the news are starting to do this thing where they're like, we're not going to talk and promote the guy who did it. We're going to talk about the victims and the heroes and stuff like that. And I think we need more of that, because
I agree.
These fucking weirdos that sit at home going, that guy's a rock star.
Yeah, I could be that famous.
Yeah, you're just dead. And I got a gun, because mentally ill people can get one now. And yeah, I think somehow we need to do more shaming of those people in some form or fashion. And I think you can't really say what's good about that, but evidently he did have a lot of money in investments, and hopefully after legal fees, some of the victims get some of that money. But there's some people whose lives were destroyed and changed in ways that's irreplaceable. And no amount of money can bring that back. But at least guy had some money, I suppose. I don't know. That's a horrible way of factoring. It's
not going to be enough. Not going to be enough. Not for hundreds of victims.
So it's one of these things. I mean, I guess that's why I'm such in a macabre mood. But I've learned a lot of Zen recently, and that's been helping me with deal with all of the fallout in the world, and the fact that I own Bitcoin.
For the world, you kind of have to shut it out, right? I mean,
maybe I should do an Ethereum, and then I can sell the Ethereum. I can say, buy Chris Voss Bitcoin, Chris Voss Ethereum coin on Ethereum. You can invest in the show. I don't know what it'll do.
So here's what I tried about the Bitcoin thing. Here's what I tried. You know the whole story about Satoshi, right? Satoshi Nakamoto, the legendary, perhaps fictional creator of
It's actually me.
Sure. You know how you can create a 2D code, it's like not a barcode, but it's a 2D code. We used to call them QR codes. And that can be somebody could pay you Bitcoin, right? Via Coinbase or something like that. So I created one for, I think it was 1,000 Bitcoin or something like that or whatever. And I said, hey, Satoshi, click on this. And I sent it out as a tweet, and he didn't give me 1,000 Bitcoin. I'm quite upset about that.
What a jerk. You remember that guy?
Wouldn't that be a great way to come out? Wouldn't that be a great way to, here I still exist, I'm around, and here's 1,000 Bitcoin from this first, early chunk of Bitcoin that was mined, and it goes over to some, rather nice white guy in Canada. Yeah.
Remember a long time ago, that guy at the baseball game or something, he held up his QR code and he got like $39,000 or something.
Yes.
Bitcoin.
Yes. That's probably a couple $1 million of Bitcoin now, because that was a long time ago.
Now he's like hating
that was
himself.
when you could send a Bitcoin to somebody and not think about it, right? Yeah. Not saying, okay, here's a car, there's a car, here's a house.
That's pretty much what people did. I mean, I remember my friend got me into Bitcoin, and he sent me, I think, $1 or $10 worth of Bitcoin. I think it was $10 worth of Bitcoin. It's probably worth a lot of money now.
What's that?
It's probably worth a lot of money now.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I had it down. My Bitcoin, I spent it all. And I got a really cool card. There was a Swift card that came out. I don't know if it's still around. They canceled my card because I quit using it. But there was a Swift card that you could have that you could use access to your Coinbase with a debit card. Yeah. And so you could basically go buy stuff with it. And so that's what I did, obviously. Yeah, well, what can you say? What's going on with crypto and everything else? Ugh. And now there's just so much of it. I'm kind of like, how do I keep up with what the latest and greatest is? And
it's impossible. You don't try. That's how you keep up. You don't.
Yeah, and then if everyone starts making their own custom boutique coin, it's going to be like people with podcasts and people with talk shows, and magazines,
social media experts.
Yeah, everyone's going to have their own, and no one's going to listen to the other one.
Exactly.
Or buy the other one, and we'll just be sitting on piles of. I have a lot of Bitcoin sitting around. I could probably make some money selling Chris Voss coin, and then like making real coin, like that guy recently who got busted. He raised $1 million plus by selling Chuck E. Cheese coins. Bitcoin. Did you read about that?
I did not read about that, but I love it.
Evidently, he raised like $1.2 million or something, and he was selling Chuck E. Cheese tokens as Bitcoin, and people were paying up to $1.2 million, buying them, thinking they were buying actual Bitcoin, not getting the concept of cryptocurrency.
Darwinism in action.
And you're just like,
I seriously think you should have a Chris Voss coin. I'm not bullshitting you. I'm not. You should have a Chris Voss coin.
Sure.
And you can give away some. People can be Chris Voss millionaires with the Chris Voss coin. That's a big deal.
You know what happened to me, John?
When you watch like 10 podcasts, right? So you get 100,000 coins per podcast.
Yeah.
It could be worth real money.
You know what I should do, John? You know what would happen to me, John, though? Is like I would still my Bitcoin would somehow be worth 10 cents, and there'd be a bunch of millionaires owning my coin. They'd be like, "Thanks, Chris."
No. Here's how you set it up. You've got 1 trillion coins, and 1 billion of them, or 10 billion, or 100 billion of them are forever yours. never. Exactly. You're now a trillionaire. Done.
This is kind of like the same thing Bowie did back in the day. If you remember back in I think it was the 80s, he created a stock market bond for the future sales of all of his albums and then all of his residuals from it, which is pretty smart considering what happened with Spotify and the collapse of the music industry. But I think he sold like $1 billion bond or something like that. Wow. That basically said any album he makes, that revenues go into that, and then any residuals he makes go into that. And so he basically pre-sold his future earnings of his life. Maybe that's what I should do. I should just be like, "Hey, man, why don't you buy the future of Chris Voss?"
I think you should, because clearly this is the millennials just go die show. Every reference is somebody they don't
have any money anyway, so not worried. I'm still I still have to have them have sex so their kids can buy my things. But I think pretty much the blue light from their phones is making them whatchamacallit, it's making them sterile.
There you go.
I think they're born. Who knows? I think unless they get a
pocket, friends, keep it in your pocket.
I apologize to all my millennial friends, but I don't. So there. Poor millennials. They get such a bad rap, but they deserve it. Any millennial can quote me the what was that Cynthia or Alicia Silverstein movie where she's the spoiled brat? Yeah, they can all quote that. Any millennial can quote that movie. Seriously, just stop.
She did like one movie and she never did anything else. Hey, she still
after that movie, you pretty much ruined your career. But I remember all my little millennial kids and pseudo kids of the girls that I would date. The girls could quote that movie verbatim, and I'm just like, this generation is gonna be fucked. And I can tell you that right now, just by from that movie, the fact they can quote that and they think that that's the Alicia Silverstone life is their life, it's just game over. Seriously. So there you go. Well, John, I got to wrap so we can do another show at 3. We should come on and talk about bash millennials and cryptocurrency in the future. Once again, sorry to my millennial friends, but thanks for being the butt of the joke. Right now, people
Chris is literal
motherfucker. That's okay. Their generation will die alone.
With robots, not alone.
Seriously, the show's
Alexa will keep me company.
Seriously, the show's run for an hour. They were gone in the first 5 minutes. They're off on Tinder trying to find the love of their life right now.
Or not.
Until the next swipe. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks, John. John, you want to give us your plugs one more time so people can go check you out?
I'm so bad at plugs. JohnKoetsier.com. Twitter.com/John Koetsier. And I am columnist for Tune. And there you go. If you're interested in the blockchain and augmented reality company, which is not public yet, GenesisReality.com. And Chris, it's been a real pleasure.
It's been wonderful to have you, John. And be sure, as our audience, we certainly appreciate you, even the millennials, for being the butt of our jokes. Sorry, you guys earned it. But we do give you a participant badge for tuning into the show, so thank you. And go to iTunes.com or iTunes, The Chris Voss Show. Go to Google Play, TuneIn app. That's what I was trying to say earlier. Patreon.com/Chris Voss. We'll be coming out with a Bitcoin. Send your Bitcoin to this address soon to support the show, which is actually a really good idea because Patreon sucks. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.